Hi everyone, and thank you for joining us on our webinar today. I'm Tony and I'm Wired's digital marketing trainer. So we'll start off this session with a little bit more information about Wired Marketing, just in case you've not dealt with us before. Now, we're a full service email marketing agency specialising in email marketing. Our clients range from small businesses to large PLCs and everything in between. We offer managed services through an agency style setup for clients who want to outsource their email marketing strategies, as well as offering support and training to clients who would prefer to create email templates and campaigns before sending them themselves. So whether you're looking for a bespoke template, do-it-yourself email sends, or a full campaign strategy and implementation, we can support you to that success. Now, my own experience spans over 20 years, during which time I've been involved with digital marketing projects ranging from small, highly targeted postcode-specific campaigns to full national and multinational integrated marketing strategies. I've worked across a number of B2B and B2C sectors. I love sharing what I've learned through that time. So that's what you need to know about us. We'll now move on to today's webinar. Now, we always have a good spectrum of attendees at the webinars. The main aim of this one is to give you an overview into marketing automation and how the Wired Marketing platform can support the implementation of that. The webinar should run for about 30 minutes. You can contact me directly after the webinar finishes if you have any questions or if you want to have more of an in-depth conversation. Feel free to use the questions and chat function on the control panel on the right hand side of the screen as well. If you do have any questions as we go through, I will try and pick them up as soon as I can, as soon as I get notified at this side. So this is what we'll be covering in this session. So what is automation? Why is automation important? Using automation programs themselves, so we'll be discussing some common marketing automation programs that are being used at this point in time, and then we'll go through a top level overview of the drag and drop marketing automation program editor on the Wired Marketing platform. So first of all then, what is automation? Well, the definition of it is the use of software to automate repetitive and tedious tasks related to marketing activities and to connect different parts of the marketing funnel without physical interaction. So marketing automation not only allows us to complete the tedious and repetitive tasks and resends, but it also creates an effective working culture which is time and cost efficient as well. So it enables us to collect data in a stylized and sophisticated way, and then also allows us to use that data constructively while managing the customer journey without having to intervene, and we're doing that obviously automatically. So first of all, a graph. Now this is the Wired relevancy graph that we like to use for these sorts of purposes. As you can see on the left hand side of the screen here is the usual shotgun approach to marketing, and in particular email marketing itself. This is the approach where you're sending one communication out to everybody on the contacts list pretty much. So it's not very targeted, it's not very focused. It does get results. You can see there's the average conversion rate there is around about 1%, give or take. But when we start looking at using things like the demographics of our audience, the characters, interests and opinions, when we start considering the behaviours that they're exhibiting as well, and then getting them to interact with us, we can start increasing the relevancy from a one-to-many to a more one-to-one relationship per communication. And that increases the return on investment and conversion rates from that as well. Now, when I say conversion rates, it doesn't necessarily just have to be pure sales and monetary conversions. This could also include things like subscriptions, sign-ups, downloads, that sort of conversion as well. So it's purely the conversion being the action that we want that person to take. So automation plays a key part in increasing this relevancy. By sending specific emails with a specific message at the right time, you can speak to your contacts at a time that's suitable for them. And that increases that relevancy tenfold and obviously increases our conversion rate. So why is automation important? Well, automation, as we've already discussed, enables you to gather reliable and usable data. As your contacts are exhibiting certain behaviours, maybe they're opening certain subject titles, they're clicking on certain types of call to action, the system and the platform can actually hold that data and give us a report on that, so we can then start actually using that to segment and start being extremely relevant with our audience. And again, we're collecting this automatically as that person or contact's exhibiting these sorts of behaviours. It helps us generate promising prospects through automated movement monitoring. So as people journey through the customer journeys that we've already laid out using our buyer personas, looking at how each persona travels through the journey between prospect and customer, we can then start actually considering where they are in that point, looking at the automation and the data that we're collecting. Enables us to create an attentive whilst very personal customer relationship. Again, because we're being more relevant, we're being more timely with our communications, we're not just shotgun blasting email comes out, we're actually creating that more personal relationship with them, and that should increase conversions. It helps us strengthen our strategies using triggers and automated follow-ups. So if we see that a certain contact reacts better to an immediate email once they've completed a certain behavior, maybe opened an email, we can then start triggering communications out based on that, be much more relevant and timely with our communication. It helps us improve our brand activity, so that influences engagement, loyalty and awareness. More timely communications, more relevant communications mean that the brand looks much more professional, much more attentive, much more personal with our individual contacts. And as per the graph we looked at, we can also target relevant content to contacts based on their engagement, the suitability or the behaviours. So marketing automation should increase return on investment and those conversions by reducing the costs. So here we're talking about reducing the costs of manual sends. We're automating triggers, we're automating email comms based on an action that they're taking or a behaviour that they're exhibiting. So we're not constantly sending, say, 100,000 emails out every single week where we don't need to. We're being much more timely, we're drip feeding the communications in front of those contacts on a personal basis. It helps us increase sales and revenue. Now that's due to getting more interaction with the contacts and also customer management as well. So we're actually leading people through a journey using our automation programs rather than just blindly following them around and reacting to what they're showing us they're doing. We can be a little bit more proactive in that sense. We can reduce lead time. So the ability to monitor interests through the different channel movements, through the different opens and clicks of our emails, gives us the ability to start being more timely. Every little step that we can reduce time-wise and triggering off a behaviour or a certain action they've taken means that we're cutting down the time it takes them to go from prospect to customer. It encourages conversation and company visibility, and that obviously broadens target audience as well. Again, it's always back down to it's more timely, more relevant content being put in front of the contact at the perfect time for them. That encourages the interaction and engagement from them. We've all been on the end of maybe automated emails from companies like Amazon or eBay, and they do tend to convert much better because they're coming to us in a more timely fashion, they're more relevant to us. If they were just blindly sending email communications out, they wouldn't be anywhere near as effective as they are. And although as marketers we can look at them and say, yeah, we know it's an automated email campaign that's come out to us or an automated message, it doesn't change the fact that it still works and it is still timely for us. We're a little bit more critical than maybe our normal audience and our customer audience, being marketers. But again, that is the case. It's more timely, more relevant. So even when we're critical, we still usually take those types of actions that they're wanting us to do. A biggie is freeing up employee time. So when we're looking at automating certain behaviours, certain programs, maybe a welcome program, a newsletter program, a nurture type of program, we're actually trying to do things automatically, and with that then frees up time. We're not having to download customer contacts from a CRM, upload them into a platform, send an email campaign, run a report, download it from the system, upload it back into our CRM. Everything's done automatically, everything's done easily, everything's done on a predetermined route that we've already made, and that then frees up employee time. Freed up employee time, one, saves a little bit of cost because they can then start looking at further initiatives and maybe further campaigns, or maybe optimizing the campaigns and programs that we've already got out there in the system. So that freed up time can be quite a lifesaver in the day-to-day firefighting that we do have to deal with as marketers. That's one of the biggest benefits of automation, is the time and cost benefits there. And then finally, the increased relevancy of the work that we're doing means we're getting much nearer to that one-to-one experience that customers really want, and obviously that then boosts return on investment and conversions, as I say, not necessarily just monetary wise there. So this is a simplified view of an automation integration and the processes that sort of run in the background where we can make the most of the data and the automation programs that we've got going. And this is really a simple visual to show you how the database data, so in your CRM, as you can see down here, can be used to develop insights using such things as real-time analytics, using the interactions with our communications, automating the process and looking for further insights. These can then be used by the marketing automation to develop the relationships and create relevant and timely interactions. So again, as we can see at the top, as this cog's turning here and feeding data into the bottom set of the system here, we're then looking at further interactions and engagements with our contact. So are they buying, are they exploring, discovering, engaging with us, what are they asking, what are they using? So as all this data then feeds into this machine, we're looking at automating it, we're looking at insights, we're looking at real-time analytics, we're looking at the interactions, we feed that into the database and then feed all that updated information back into the system and keep that cycle looping through. Now this strategy and approach then engages the customer through their life cycle. As these interactions happen, as the customer moves through the journey, the information's fed back down that machine, resulting in more data, which can then be used to fine-tune the process, continuously driving more insight and the ability to optimize the marketing approach. As I say, that system just keeps moving. And this is how we can go from a very, very basic data set on our contact, it may just even be an email address, we can then start feeding the data in from what they're opening, what they're clicking. We can start deriving what their interests are, what their potential opinions are, what part of the buying journey they're in, and then we can use a little bit more data from there to feed back in and look for insights, and we can build up those bigger data sets as time moves on. To do all that by hand would be difficult with each and every contact and customer that we've got, but more importantly it would take up valuable time and valuable resource to be able to do that on a one-by-one basis as well. So this is again another benefit of marketing automation, that is actually automating that data collection and the data use that we're looking and we're needing to increase the relevancy. In reality though, it's not quite as simple as this. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of individual components in our machine, and it can look a little bit like that. Now this is where a lot of sort of extra data sets come in that we could potentially collect through marketing automation and the email campaigns that we're using, and using the data right across all our campaigns. So it is much more complicated than it first looks, again, which is why automation lends itself to the more data-driven strategies. So when it comes to using these automation programs, there are, again, an unlimited amount of customer journeys that you could potentially automate. We've just put a few examples together here just to give you sort of a taster on what you could look at automating. So first of all, we've got the welcome programs. So these are potentially from when somebody becomes a customer, we could then put them into a welcome program and start building the relationship with them, offering extra advice on how to use the products or services, or how to get the most out of them, or maybe just to keep a constant sort of communication loop with them. There is a fact that when somebody's just given you their email address, whether that is subscribing to a newsletter or whether it's just becoming a new customer and actually purchasing a product for you, that is the most engaged they are ever likely to be with you. So unless you keep up with the communications, keep up with the relevant and timely communications, there's a very good chance that over time you will then start losing those contacts. Not through anything that you may have done, it's just a natural sort of diminishing result of engagement with the brand up until maybe repurchasing a product or purchasing an additional product from you. So welcome programs are maybe the first step in the process there to keep those communications going through and start building the data sets. We then got things like newsletters. So a lot of companies maybe have weekly, monthly newsletters that go out with updates on products or industry. Again, they're a nice way to keep in contact and keep in the front of mind of contacts that we've got. Newsletters tend to be a little bit more shotgun approach, especially if it comes to updating on company products or services. Your existing customer base and prospects probably want to know about those as time goes on. So newsletters are a little bit broader, but again, every now and again, it's a good way of keeping in contact and front of mind and positioning yourself as potentially a thought leader in the industry as well. We then got the nurture program. Now this obviously would lead from a welcome program. So when the welcome program's finished, maybe 3 or 4 initial communications go out over maybe 7 to 10 days. Again, it's up to you how you set your programs up, and we'll cover that in next week's webinar. But once the welcome program's done, we then need to start nurturing those prospects and customers through the extra parts of the funnel, so leading them towards retention and advocacy stages rather than just purely conversion. Again, nurture programs are a program that each individual will go through at different times in the process. This is where automation lends itself again. You can set up an initial rule that says once the welcome program's finished, this contact now goes into a nurture program, and it will do that every single day with each contact that meets that rule every single day. So you can set it and forget it, basically. Post-sale, another good potential automation program. Again, Amazon are quite good with this type of campaign. Once you bought a product, they will follow up after a few days. They'll start asking about maybe the packaging in their example, how the product fits the description and the reviews, and they start looking at referrals. And again, it's a good way of leading new customers into the retention and advocacy stages. Once they've purchased from you or they've taken up the new service from you, they're going to be very, very engaged. They feel much more sort of engaged, and they want to interact with what you're doing, and they want to tell people about that in that post-sale high. So again, another automation program that's quite beneficial. We've got the other end of things then, so re-engagement. So this is where we start looking at people who aren't opening or clicking on campaigns that we're sending out. We can then start looking at treating them in a slightly different way, maybe sending them less communications if we think that's the right way to do it, maybe sending them more communications if we think they're not engaging because they're not getting enough from us and we're not front of mind. So again, it depends upon our individual strategies, but re-engagement campaigns are very, very good to help reduce the attrition on our contact list. Current figures are that contact list attrition sits anywhere between 25 and 33% per year. So keeping as many contacts as we can that are engaging with us or trying to get people who aren't to engage with us is very important to keep that list and keep the list growing as best we can as well. We can then look at automating events. So if we've got a particular program coming up in 6 or 12 months time, maybe we can set up an automation program now that starts drip feeding contacts into it and gives them timely and regular updates as to how that event's working out, what's going to be part of that event, maybe if we've got speakers or change of details, that sort of thing. So again, it's a good way of automating things, so you can again set up the program and then forget it as the event date comes up. We've then got anniversary or birthday campaigns and programs. Anniversaries aren't just necessarily wedding anniversaries. It could also be anniversary of purchase of a product, anniversary of subscription to an email newsletter, that type of anniversary as well. And the same with birthdays. Birthday campaigns are good for B2C. If you've got that retail sort of approach, you've got that retail product to sell, birthdays can be particularly good. But also it could be, again, same thing as anniversary, birthday of the products that you bought or the services that you've been supplying to that contact as well. And again, it's just a nice way of just keeping in front of them and making it very, very personal. We've then got loyalty campaigns. So again, loyalty programs can go out. So once we've led them through a welcome program, we've nurtured them, we've got the sale, we've then taken through a post-sale program. We're looking for them to start referring new customers to us using the word of mouth, sharing the campaigns that we're sending. We can then lead them into automated loyalty campaigns to lead them towards that advocacy stage. Again, that's all important for keeping the customers and keeping the funnel filled up with referred customers as well, I suppose you could say. Another stat out there at the moment, it's between 6 and 7 times more expensive to get a new customer than it is to retain one. So if you can actually use the post-sale purchase and the loyal customers and the advocates to do the marketing for you as well, it's much more powerful than sending the messages out yourself. And then multi-channel as well, so we can start integrating with social media and other channels as well. We can start automating our email campaigns based on data that's coming into our CRM from other systems too. So again, it could be maybe if somebody starts following us on Facebook, if we're tracking that data in our CRM, we can then start sending email and automated campaigns based on those new data sets that we've got. So now that we've gone through sort of an introduction to marketing automation, why it's important, a few sort of example programs there, we'll take a look at how the Wired Marketing Platform enables us to start using it. So we'll log into our system. So from the first page here, the automation suite is under the middle tab on that right hand side there. So as you can see, we've got 2 or 3 options under there. For the purpose of this webinar, we'll not go into it in a massive amount of detail. We'll actually do that in next week's webinar, start creating the programs. We'll give you a very brief overview. So My Programs is where our automation programs actually sit. So very similar to the email and campaigns, our programs actually sit under here. We've then got triggered campaign content. So when we've been creating emails, going back a few weeks into our webinar on creating the emails through the platform, we can choose whether they're standard campaigns that are sort of one-off sends, or we can choose whether they're going to be triggered campaigns. If we chose triggered, this is where they would sit. So we'll just click on that for now. And as you can see, these are the email campaigns that we've actually set up to be used in our automation programs as triggered automation. Triggered emails. So if we look at My Programs, you can see it's always the same format. So we've got the folders down the left hand side. We can add new program here. We've got a few actions, so we can move programs or rename them. We can search if we've got quite a few on the system, and we can change the display here. So if we have a quick look into one of them, so maybe a case study download nurturing. At the moment it's a draft. We can see the date it was created, the date it was last modified. We can copy that or we can edit it. So if we just go into edit, and this is a blank campaign that's been set up. But as you can see, it's very, very similar in setup is the drag and drop editor to the email campaign drag and drop editor. We've got slightly fewer options down the left hand side here, as you can see. But although there doesn't look to be much there, everything we've got is extremely, extremely powerful to start creating these automation programs, and they're not always just as easy as maybe leading a customer or a contact through 3 or 4 touch points. Again, we'll cover this in more detail next week, but for now I'll show you how to create a very, very basic automation program. So first of all, we have Start. Now, every program has to have a start option. This is where we start setting the rules as to how contacts are actually entering this program itself. So we click on this. So we've got a few options now. We can set the enrollment schedule. If we click on that, you can choose daily, weekly, monthly, on a set date at a certain time, or no scheduled enrollment. So again, it depends upon the reason for the program as to what you choose here. But for now, we'll schedule it as no scheduled enrollments. And then what we can say is, right, once somebody's come into this program based upon whatever rule it is, so maybe if we change this and we'll go to trigger from a contact date field. So say we want somebody who's been created in the last day as a new contact on the system, on the platform itself. We can then say trigger from that. So once they've been in there 1 day in our system as a new created option, sorry, just having a few issues here. We'll just cancel that. We'll go back. It's 1 day before. There we go. Sorry, I couldn't see that for the console. So we've got trigger from a contact date field 1 day before. So once that person's contact details are 1 day old in the platform, we'll then choose what we're going to do with them. We can set enrollment limits, so we can enroll them once, we can enroll them multiple times. Again, it depends upon the reason for the program, but we'll apply these. So we can say once somebody's a new contact in our platform, we're going to send an email campaign. So whenever you see campaign on the platform, it does mean email campaign. We can select campaign. Now we can create a placeholder for one here, or we can select an existing one. So for the sake of this, we'll use our £50 plus offer. So once they're a day old, they receive this email campaign. Then what we can say is, right, we'll make a decision. So if they've opened this campaign, we will send them a thank you email campaign. If they've not opened, we'll send them a second sales campaign out. So maybe on this one we'll send campaign number 1. And for this one, this would be a thank you campaign. So I'm not sure if we've got one on the system. Maybe we'll use the welcome. So if they've opened it, they'll get this campaign. If they've not opened it, they'll get this campaign. And then what we can do is maybe put them into a new address book. So we can subscribe the non-openers into a new address book. And if we had one that said non-openers, that sort of thing, we could set them straight in there. So maybe we'll use that one for this purpose. Or we can also add them to a program. So this is where if you had a welcome program, you can lead from the end of that welcome program into another, so into maybe a nurture program. So as you can see, 1 day after creation, we've sent an email campaign. We've then made a decision. If they've opened it, we send this campaign. If they've not opened it, we send this campaign, and then we'll add them to a program for lead nurturing. And there's various other options we can have here. So we can update contact details. So this is where the data collection comes in. We can start setting delays. So we can say, right, once we've sent the campaign to the openers, we'll wait 3 days, and then we'll do something else. So maybe we'll send them another campaign. And you build up your programs that way. And then we've also got things like your decision trees. You've got your date splits. You can choose to do different things based on dates, quantities, or even random splits as well. We've got an end. So whenever there's a start, there's got to be an end. So as you can see at the top here, we've got 3 errors at this point in time. If we click on that, we can see what the errors are. And the first one is ensure all program routes terminate with an end step. So as I say, we need to make sure that everything ties up to the end. And then that just reduces that down to 1. If there's any red, it won't let us activate it. So now we need to select the campaign that's missing. It's highlighted it in red for us here. So we'll just choose a random campaign just for the purposes of this example. And then you can see we currently have no errors in the program. So we would be absolutely fine now to activate it. And it would be start initially sending out campaigns to our contacts from tomorrow. And then the final tool that we have here is a text label. So if we're working as a team on creating the automation programs, because as I say, they can get quite complicated once you start getting into the complexities of the logic and basing what you're going to do on behaviors, we can start just labeling up certain areas and saying team 1's worked on this, this is to do this part of the program, that sort of thing. We can also change the color of that as well. And then as you can see, it makes it quite clear for everyone as to what each individual part of the program is. So as you can see, it's quite a straightforward drag and drop system there. And as I say, because of the rules that we can set up in these individual sections here, it is very, very powerful. But marketing automation enables you ultimately to make your life easier by automating your repetitive and tedious tasks. Alongside a well-planned marketing strategy, marketing automation becomes an extremely powerful tool which can help you proactively lead customers down predetermined journeys, and that's what these programs would be. We're actually leading people through certain touch points based on their behaviors. And that's obviously based rather than just following them around in a reactive way. We'll be much more proactive. So that's the end of the webinar. I hope that you found it useful, that you now have a better understanding of what automation is, why it's important to marketers, and sort of how the system can initially help you to create those programs and start organizing them into your strategies themselves. As I say, next week I'll be covering actual creation of automation programs. We'll start creating some maybe slightly more complicated ones as well to show how that would work. But our contact details are shortly to be on screen. At Wired, we're more than happy to answer any questions you might have. We're always very open to any comments as well, and any updates from people that are contacting us too. Please feel free to contact us if you want to see how Wired Marketing can help you achieve your email marketing success, or if you just want to have a chat about what you're doing with your campaigns at the moment. I've just got a question, so let me pick that up for you. Okay. Oh, thanks very much, Rana. Thank you very much, Steve, as well. So as I say, feel free to contact us if you've got any questions about campaigns, or if you just want an update, or if there's anything that I've not covered that you want covering and you've not a chance to ask about. The next webinar will be a live session again next Friday, which is the 2nd of December, believe it or not. We're nearly at that Christmas period already. It'll be at 11 AM again. And we'll be showing you how to create and implement those marketing automation programs on the Wired Marketing platform. So much more in depth on the platform itself next week. To register to attend that, please visit our website. Finally, the Wired team and I would like to thank you for attending the webinar today, and we wish you every success with your email marketing. Thank you so much. Have a great Black Friday, and we hope you see you at our future webinars. Goodbye.